I think, Johannes, we cannot hear you.
We started.
Can you now hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, then let's kick it off again. Hi and welcome everyone to the next round of the Keptn Dev meeting. Today it's November 4th. And yes, I can see we have quite a lot of items on the agenda. That's the reason why I want to directly hand it over to Giovanni, who will tell us about a cool announcement that happened yesterday.
Yeah, thanks, Johannes. We released Keptn 0.10, and the major feature that is shipped with that is the possibility to integrate Keptn with webhooks. And we also provide some example how to integrate a Jenkins installation or some notification via Slack. So please try it out and explore Keptn and webhooks.
Cool. Yeah, really exciting and nice. Really nice to have this feature now rolled out. As we discussed in the last meeting, we do have examples here in the documentation where you can find how to integrate with Jenkins, for example, thanks to Christian, who provided that tutorial or that how-to documentation. And then there's also the Slack integration. And as we discussed last time, we aim for moving those examples actually to the integrations page to have it here as a separate tile, just explaining how to integrate it. There's not an artifact behind this integration then, but still a way that you can then connect an external tool with your Keptn installation. And when you have ideas for integrating your tooling, please don't hesitate to file a PR against the documentation or let us know how this could look like so that we get this integration also listed on the Keptn page. All right. Giovanni, any additional notes to mention?
Not at the moment. Maybe some heads up that in the future, we will get away from having this internal repository inside Keptn. So please use an upstream from now on, so you're prepared when we will get rid of the internal repository.
Correct. Thanks for adding that one. Okay. Then, let's move on to the next one in the list, who is Moritz.
Yes, thank you. I'm gonna quickly share a small thing that I did this sprint. It's about our DCO checks. So we're using the developer certificate of origin. Let's quickly look at it. Certificate of origin. Yeah, so this, and we are using some automation to basically check for every PR if that certificate of origin is attached to every commit. And recently we actually changed from our DCO app to using a separate pipeline, which you can find in this GH automation repository under the Keptn organization. And it basically uses this DCO check Python package down here. But the cool thing about that, which I want to mention here, is that this is a public pipeline, and GitHub actually released a beta feature, which is called reusing workflows, where you can actually reuse any public GitHub Actions workflow in your own repository. So this is kind of also how we are using it. So I created this GitHub automation repo for kind of shared pipelines. And then in the Keptn main repo, I'm making use of that pipeline. And by that, I basically, like, we can reduce duplicates, code duplicates by a lot, and it's pretty amazing. The feature is still in beta, but it works out quite well so far. And actually, this pipeline, it's not super big, but it got donated to the CNCF and lives now under the CNCF/DCO checker repository, and you can find it here under the GitHub workflows. So you can use it from there as well if you want to. Yeah, and that's basically it from me. Handing over to Flo. If there's no questions, actually. Yeah.
Moritz, are we now using the CNCF one or our own repo?
For now, we're using our own repo because the CNCF one doesn't have a proper GitHub release yet and no tag. But as soon as that happens, I will switch ours out for the CNCF one.
Nice.
That's the plan.
Cool.
All right, then I'll keep going. So from my side, there's actually not that much to show because this was a refactoring sprint for us. So most of the changes that were done by us were under the hood. So we worked a bit on the shipyard controller, tried to reduce the complexity there. So especially Bernd did a great job in achieving that. But nevertheless, I want to show you two things. So first one is during the sprint, I worked a lot on improving the robustness on our integration tests because they used to be quite fragile in the past because, yeah, for example, we spin up a GKE cluster at the beginning of the integration test, and then we often had the case where we had some networking issues where the cluster was not reachable for a certain periods of times. And yeah, basically I had a look at those different failing integration tests and why they were failing, and I implemented a couple of measures that should counteract against those frequent problems. So I added some retry mechanisms in handling API calls, and I think now we have actually achieved the state where the green integration tests should become the new normality and the red ones should be the exceptions. So fingers crossed, but things are looking good. And yeah, but of course we will need to keep an eye on it to see whether there are new problems coming in. But I believe we came a lot closer to having this stable state of our integration tests. And the next one, yeah, this was a bug fix in the CLI. So when looking at the documentation of the CLI commands, you might have stumbled across one or the other broken link. And this was because the Keptn version was not set properly, not initialized properly within the CLI, and therefore the auto-generated links that referred to certain versions of Keptn were failing. And actually, let's have a look at the PR. So the main reason is, or the way this was set, yeah, exactly. So when building the CLI, we set the version property in the main package to the current Keptn version. But actually the release URL parameter or variable that was used within the links to the documentation, as you can see here, this was initialized after the main package was initialized. So the order of initializations of packages within a Go module kind of was against us. So the way this was solved is by changing the linker flag, the LD flag, to changing the correlating variable within directly within the package where this variable is used. And now the initialization order is set up properly. So now the URLs have been fixed. I've also for the recent versions, so Keptn 0908, I've added pull requests to the documentations where I've fixed the broken URLs. All right, any questions about that? If not, I will hand over to Klaus.
Okay, thanks. Let me share the screen. Okay, yeah, nothing, not much from my side. So just 2 bug fixes. I will start with the first one. In the evaluation board, we had a small bug that the weight of an SLI was not the correct value that was defined in the SLO file. And this one was fixed through the SLO file that is provided or saved for each evaluation, and I just passed it and took the value out of there instead of taking the wrong value for the result. That's basically it for this part. So the right value is now shown for the weight. Any questions to this bug? Okay, then the next one. This was a race condition in this case. In the environment screen or in the project itself, we have 2 different API calls for the project. One with a lot of more information and one with much less information. And the problem was that if the call with more information was responded before, the other call overrode the environment screen with the not whole information. And that's why the information was lost in some cases. And yeah, this was fixed that the whole information is not replaced by the small information. And yeah, that's basically it. Any questions?
Klaus, is there a chance that we can take a look at our Keptn installation to see the bug fixes?
I have to take a look if I have an installation. Or Keptn, I don't know if I have the credentials. Is there any evaluation running or something? Or do we have any data here?
There's basically no data in the Keptn instance.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it was empty when I checked before.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but maybe I can show the evaluation part. Let me check. I guess not. I have nothing up to date up to now. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then let's continue. Maybe when we end or before ending this session, we take a list on action items, how we can get there to demonstrate feature enhancements and everything on the Keptn installation. All right. Thanks so far.
Okay. So we hand over to Suraj.
Hi, am I? Sorry, am I audible now?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, cool. Sorry, today is a big festival here, and you might hear a lot of firecracker noises. But if you do hear, let me know. Let me share my screen. I think this was the one. All right, cool. So I have. So this basically introduces very small changes. One is adding the config file, and I should give some explanation. Sorry about that. So this PR is about using Viper to manage the Keptn config, and it adds a few touch-ups to the function signatures. But overall, more or less, the changes are internal, except we now have an option to specify a custom config file path, and the CLI config manager function signature has changed to allow custom config file path. So those are two major things. And yeah, I think that is it. I've added comments wherever necessary, and I think the PR is ready for review. That's all from my end.
Okay, thanks, Suraj. This means that we can take a look on the PR.
Yeah, right.
Who is someone up for reviewing that one?
Yeah, I can take a look at it tomorrow.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Flo.
Thank you.
Okay, then yeah, no additional action, no additional item in the list. Brings me back to my previous question. What is actually now needed that we can demonstrate the next time also new features, enhancement, bug fixes on our Keptn installation?
Some automatic load generator.
Yeah, we need some data and some load there. The instance is up and running, and it gets updated with latest master and stuff, but there's no projects, there's no services.
When testing a fix, you anyway also test this, I guess, on your local instance, and we could, or you could simply use this shared one to test, right? But I'm also fine with setting up a load generator, but I doubt that this load generator does now allow us to show each and every bug fix, for example, or each and every new feature.
Yeah, I would also say so. So some
Maybe
random test projects would even be enough. On there.
maybe we could also think about running the integration tests again at the newly deployed version, or at least a subset of those.
What do you mean? So
yeah, after we've deployed Keptn on Keptn, we point our CLI
yeah.
to that instance, and since we quite frequently also add an integration test when we, for example, fix something in the behavior of the services, we could then run this integration test against this newly deployed version as well. And then we would automatically have some data that directly addresses the fix that we would like to show.
Yeah. But that kind of only works as long as we stay in the mode right now where the integration tests like don't really clean up after themselves properly. But yeah, that's a good point actually.
Yeah, the problem is then to come up with the selection of integration tests. And every time we need to decide, is this for the load generator also or not?
But in order to get this started, this initiative,
we can start with that, yeah.
We could start when preparing the review. devs could simply set up a simple example which shows the fix or the new feature. So I like the idea of reusing integration tests, but if this is now not straightforward, then I would accept to do some manual preparations here before this meeting. What do you think about this approach? Or is this another, work? Yeah, I'm sure it brings work to us, but
I would say let's try once, and if it's too much work, we will not do that again.
Okay, then let me summarize. We are not doing a load generate, we're not generating load. We are not selecting a random project, neither an integration test pointing against the new deployment. We are manually preparing test data to demonstrate the new feature.
So it's basically like you would test any other PR, basically, only that you don't use your local instance or your own dev cluster, but rather you use the Keptn cluster instead.
Right. And I also need one question for clarification. This is the newly deployed Keptn, and how do we get which password and username do we have here?
It's generated
It's generated
every time
passwords.
you deploy. We need to run kube control
Okay.
to retrieve the secret.
Yeah.
Got it. Don't provide this information here. Okay. Does this work for everyone? As Giovanni said, let's give it a try the next time, and then we can estimate, how to proceed in this direction. Cool. Thanks for presenting all the improvements and bug fixes that have been worked on this week. Any other questions from the community? Okay, it's not the case. Then thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you the next Thursday at the same time. Is the US changing light time saving? I don't know yet.
I think we have only 1 week where we are out of sync.
Where we are off and then we are back on track. Meaning that see you the next time, 5 European Central Time, and I think you can see it here, 11 a.m. Eastern US and 8 a.m. US Pacific. All right, with that said, see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.